Hi everyone, in this video I want to talk about the topic of betrayal trauma and twin flame separation. Suppose you were a twin flame and didn't know that you were in the twin flame journey. This can manifest in your life. This can also manifest in any other person who may not be a twin flame or doesn't classify themselves as a twin flame. But if you are having a difficult relationship phase of push pull dynamics with someone, we can end up experiencing this in our twin flame journey. So, what happens is each of us has a soul purpose related to our life journey on earth currently. It's just that someone might be more in tune and aware about their some soul purpose, while some other people may not be as in tune or as aware about your soul purpose. But each of us has a purpose. The more awareness you gain, the deeper the level of the experience you will have related to your soul purpose. The less awareness you have about your soul purpose, the more unconsciously you might be going through life and the soul purpose of your life. And of course, deeper the level of awareness, you face a certain kind of life journey, whereas the lesser the degree of your self awareness and attunement to your soul purpose, the lesser conscious will be your experiences. It will be more like when you were in school, if you were taught something in first standard of biology, and you didn't even have biology as a subject at that time, but by 10th standard we have a separate entire subject called biology. So the difference that you learn, the same thing that you learned about biology in first standard will be very different from what you learned about biology in 10th standard, and only because there was developmentally and evolutionarily certain changes that have happened in your body and mind, that you can grasp some more deep level concepts now that you are in 10th standard. Same way, whatever you learned about biology in 10th, if you are studying biology further as a PhD field, then in your PhD, after a few years, whatever you learned during your course of PhD will be even more deeper than what you learned when you were in 10th. So this is how life is also. Whatever we learn in school, whatever we learn at college, and whatever we learn in university, the depth of which comes up slowly with time, as we are evolving, as we are learning more. And after what you have learned even in your university level courses, once you have graduated from a bachelor's, master's, doctoral, whatever program you have studied in university level, after that your real life experience will also add a little bit more depth and element to it. And again, even if there are 3 students who are undergoing the same experience in life, they studied the same degree program, they went to the same university, they also work in the same company, even then 3 different people will have 3 different kind of experience even when they are walking the same path, because of what you are thinking, what you are doing, what you are intending to do, what is the purpose of what you are doing. If you don't have a purpose, then something else will unfold. So like that, twin flame journey is also like that. If you have started gaining the awareness about the twin flame journey, you get a little bit more deeper into the soul purpose aspect of your life. So from my twin flame journey, what I understood was, initially I didn't know I was a twin flame. I had been introduced to the concept of twin flame when I was in my 20s, and I was experiencing a very intense kind of a relationship with someone, where emotionally and sexually I was feeling very intensely connected to them. And actually I didn't know this, but I felt energetically also in some ways we were very in tune in some energetic aspects. But what was out of tune with us was that I always felt, even though emotionally my heart chakra was more connected with that person, his heart chakra was not deeply connected with me. And while his sacral chakra was very deeply connected with me, I always put a pushback on the sacral chakra aspects of our relationship, because I was not ready. I was in my early 20s, but I was very sure that I didn't want premarital sex. I didn't want to engage also in the level of sexual things that he wanted to engage in. I was very strict about it. So because we had this wavelength mismatch, even though there were some elements that were matching with us, there was a lot of mismatch going on, which continuously led to repeating patterns of conflict between us. And this conflict, because it was a very push-pull related conflict, it, when you theoretically look at a definition of a twin flame relationship, at that time it seemed maybe that this could also potentially be a twin flame relationship. And at a time, because I was young and immature, obviously the discernment wasn't present inside of my soul to know the difference between too much difference between what I read about a twin flame at that time and what was going on in my life. But even though I didn't know too much, and at that time even a lot of information about twin flames were also likely not available online on the internet. Now compared to what is available now, 20 years down the line, lot more information is available now about twin flame relationships than what was available previously. Because again, in 20 years there are many other twin flames who have entered the twin flame journey, and there are many other guides and teachers who have come to help people who are in the twin flame journey navigate their twin flame journey. As a result, the information about the twin flame journey is a little bit more in depth. But again, despite whatever information you will find online about the twin flame journey, personally how you experience it will differ from twin flame to twin flame. And again, what level of consciousness you develop, what level of self-awareness you develop, what level of compatibility and other healing you develop within yourself will determine eventually the twin flame journey being merged together as two individuals get together to be together in life with each other, or whether they will separate from each other. And also there are twin flames, those twin flames who have come to be each other's life partner, soul partner, will have an entirely different kind of twin flame journey versus those twin flames who have only come to be each other's friends, and they are not going to be each other's soul partner or life partner in that lifetime. And their life path will, that's why they will not even awaken to be in a twin flame maybe until later in life, or even if they are awakening to be in a twin flame, what they need to awaken to as a twin flame is that, say it was a mother son who are twin flames, then what they need to awaken to is they will awaken to each other's pain, because there are so many mother, and why are such mother son twin flames going to be there on earth? Because there are so many mothers who have this anguish that their sons didn't understand them, didn't feel their pain, didn't understand the depth of emotions a mother goes through when the child is being birthed by the mother or raised by the mother, right? And there are also so many children who have grown up with mothers who never understood them, who didn't understand their value, whose parents might have devalued them. Now if that kind of a life experience had shaped up into people's lives in a previous lifetime, where they had parents who didn't understand them, where they had children who were ungrateful, where they had a life experience with their children that was very complicated and led to a lot of betrayal trauma in them, then those same people in this lifetime might decide that in maybe 100 years back they had a life where their children didn't appreciate them. That mother might decide that in this life I want my twin flame to be my child. And this child also might have decided that in 200 years back when they lived on earth, their parents didn't understand them, so they also want to come on earth this time with their twin flame to experience the mother-son bond, where parents and children do indeed understand each other's pain and each other's suffering. So that's why then those twin flames will get born in each other's lives. One will be the mother, one will be the child. It could also be a father-child equation also. It could be a grandparent-granddaughter equation as well. It could be a grandparent grandson equation. It could be two siblings coming in the same family to be each other's support system when difficult times will arise. Because the twin flame journey, one aspect of the twin flame journey is you can sometimes emotionally and energetically feel your twin flame's emotions. So whatever the twin flame is going through, if they are going through a phase where they are enjoying their life, you will feel their joy. If they are going through heartbreak in your life, in their life, you will feel that heartbreak. If they give you heartbreak and you have felt that heartbreak in your heart, eventually someday, and the timeline of it might be a little off, because how the timeline works I still don't understand, but because I'm in separation from my twin flame, so what I'm experiencing today on this particular day of my life may not be today, this particular date in my twin flame's life. It could be a different date in my twin flame's life when he was experiencing the same emotions that I have been experiencing as a result of the heartbreak I went through. Now, which heartbreak he is tuning into, that also I won't know, but I can know sometimes. And these things, these deeper level of what I know that he is feeling, when he is feeling I may not know, which experience he is feeling I may not know. When will I know it? When it is the divine timing of me to know it. So right now at this stage of life, what am I doing? At this stage of life, or even 5 years back, there was a time, I think it was approximately 5 years back. I'm a little blurry about our timelines right now, and this is how the timelines also will get blurred because everyone has a different experience. So 5 years back or few years back, I experienced a time where I found the extreme pain of someone was coming in my energy field, and I didn't understand whose pain and energy. Initially I didn't understand whose pain it is, but because I am a self-aware person, and also because I had taken the time at that time to rest in life, I was not doing any professional work, so my brain was not occupied with any professional work. I was recovering from a divorce and other patriarchy related stuff that was going on in my life. So because I was recovering from patriarchy related things, because I just wanted to recover and I wanted to rest. So because I was in my rest and recovery phase, I was doing like the bare minimum person has to do to survive on earth, but bare minimum plus developing self-awareness. These were the two things I was doing. So compared to a 40-year-old or 30-year-old my age normally in India or even in a US, because I used to live in US earlier. So if I compare my lifestyle to anyone I knew in US, anyone I know in India, anyone my age, they were all either busy married or getting into new marriages or raising kids, or they had already raised kids who are now in teenage years, so they are involved in their children's schooling. So if they are a mom, they are involved with their children's lives. If they are a mom and a working mom, they are involved in their children's life and in their work and in their marriage. If they are married, there is a separate kind of lifestyle they are pursuing. If they are not married, there is a separate kind of professional work they are pursuing. But I was not falling into any of those categories at that time. I was simply not working, I was not a mom, I was not married, I had got divorced at that time. So when I would go to the banking for filling up a form, or some random stranger at a grocery store is asking me something, like while I'm ringing up something at a retail store, sometimes people ask you questions, or when you're filling up a credit card form, or they want you to fill up a credit card form or donate somewhere, people usually will look at a person like me and gauging my age and the way I look, they will all ask, are you married? If I say I'm not married, do you work? If I say I don't work, are you a... So they will ask all these questions, but they will assume, like if I am looking like this and I'm strolling in a mall, in the mall I get asked questions like, do you work? And I say I don't work. Then are you a housewife? Then I can't categorize myself because I am not a housewife, though I lead a life of a housewife, but I lead a life of a single housewife. Does that make sense? I am the wife to myself only, because there's no husband to cater to, there is no children to cater to. So the only person I'm monitoring is self. So when you're monitoring just yourself and you're not even busy, your mind is not occupied with the noise of competing with other children's parents or noise of competing at a workplace with other work colleagues for a professional credit, or you're not competing with anyone in terms of even gaining someone else's attention to trap them as a spouse, because people do that also. When you're single, many people get into the fear of missing out phase of their life, where we want to get married because everyone else around us is married, because society has propagated. And that's why I get all these questions at 35-45 years of age, that for the last 9 years I've been facing these questions, that are you married, are you working? But what if I'm not married and I'm not working? Which category do you want me to place? What if I used to be married? What if I used to work? Now I want to take rest and I don't look like a 60-year-old retired woman, so, or a widow, so they can't categorize me like that. But there are divorcee women, there are divorcee single women, there are divorcee women who are struggling, or widowed women also possibly, who might be struggling with finances. And even if you go and shop at a mall, doesn't mean that you are ultra rich, because you have to nonetheless still shop and buy something at a extremely expensive mall or a real small shopping complex. It doesn't matter what is your socioeconomic status. If the product you need isn't available at a particular place that you a low socioeconomic status person might shop at, you might still go and buy something at a expensive mall if that product is only available at that mall. So all these things, there are always a category exception to the norm that is present generally globally, where people don't understand these exceptions to the norm. And twin flame experience is like that, an exception to the norm experience for everyone who is in the twin flame journey. When you awaken to it, you will understand what is the exception to the norm you are going through with a particular person as their twin flame. So as a twin flame, I was feeling someone's heartache and pain. Now, whose heartache and pain I am feeling? At that time, universe said it is my twin flame's heartache and pain, because I knew it was not my heartache and pain. Like whatever grieving I had to do about my divorce, whatever grieving I had to do about my patriarchal problems that I was facing in my life, whatever grieving I had to do about leaving a whole complete independent lifestyle in US and moving back to India, all that grieving I had already done. It was like a couple of years after I had done and processed through the grief of whatever personal challenges I had faced in my life. That grief had gone away from me. I was balanced, I was aligned, I was not grieving for things that I have no control over. I was not grieving for things that I personally made the choice to not indulge or exist with. And so I couldn't grieve, because why should you grieve? Like for example, in my divorce, it was a very cruel and imbalanced marriage. It would have gone into real bad abuse if I had continued in that marriage. But I didn't want to go and continue existing in a marriage filled with abuse. And because I didn't want to continue in a marriage filled with abuse, whose red flags had already shown up in the few months I was married, when the choice of a divorce was put on me by my ex's family, I agreed to it, because they thought that it being a new marriage, and if I was indeed like say a 20-year-old newly married person, or if I hadn't had the difficult life experiences I had before I got married in my early to mid 30 area. So at that time when I got married, when I had enough experiences as an independent woman, enough experiences as a woman dating other men, enough experiences with men as my friends also, or colleagues also, to understand like who's a good guy, who's not a good guy, who is a cruel person, who's not a cruel person. That kind of a range of experiences I had already faced in life by then. So when I can see very easily that this family is very cruel, or they will not simply not be cooperative in merging lives with a woman, they are very disrespectful of women as well. All these things I had observed with them. So you have to learn in life where you can win, where you can have the flexibility to merge something with some other people, where you can learn from each other. And you have to also have the wisdom to know where whatever you do, you will never be the right person for them. So I understood that I cannot be the right person for them. And I was in a financial and very financial and legal crunch at that time because of this marriage, because my husband's family had sponsored my work visa, not work visa, but they had got family visa. Through family visa they had got citizenship of US. So because they had the citizenship of US, and because they were citizens, and I was on a work visa and a student visa in US at that time. Like I had both. I had first student visa, then work visa, then again student visa. So when I was in the student visa phase, they sponsored my green card. So of course legally I am in a bind now. If I legally, they knew that they could use that against my need to stay in US and to coerce a marriage to work with them. They knew that as a person who is now legally, they have sponsored my visa, then using that visa only, logically, practically, if anyone is practical, anyone is logical, anyone is money oriented, anyone has loved living in US, many people are there who are ready to go to any extent to maintain that life status, right? Because the socioeconomic status of people living in US is much better, quality of life is much better than what people experience in India. And I knew that I will have a socioeconomic problem, I will have a legal challenge, I will also have a financial challenge now if I walk out from this marriage. But what is more important? Isn't your health and safety more important than wealth or potential of gaining wealth via a visa from someone else, right? So for me, health was more important, safety was more important, security was more important. So I made that critical decision making point at that time in my life. And yes, to the outside world who is materialistically oriented, monetarily oriented, oriented towards manipulating the game for themselves, for them this is not the choice they will make. But I'm not designed to be a personality like that. For me, I was okay living my life in US, because by then you have to understand, when I was doing my student MBA program, that is the time when I got married. So while I was doing my MBA program, at that time also I knew, like as an MBA student also, I met a lot of competitive people, super highly competitive people in my class. And not just in my class, I studied with other MBA students who were 1 year older to me and 1 year younger to me in the degree program. So I met a lot of people, so I know what competition looks like, what competition feels like. I also have the skills actually inside me to compete also with people. But even though I have the skills in me to compete, sometimes I'm not the competitive sort. So I didn't want to compete in the same way as all typical MBA students compete. I do not think like typical MBA student. In fact, in my SOP also, I had written something like that in my SOP presented to my university, that I am doing an MBA to just get a glimpse of personality types that are different from me. I didn't exactly say it in this word, but the intent of what I wrote, because women may not always write exactly XYZ. I might write XY with hidden codes about Z. This is the kind of person I am. So and also you can't directly say, hey, I want to be in the MBA program because I hate competitive people, or I want to get a glimpse about what it feels to be competitive. No, I'm not going to say that. Or I want to know what it feels like to be in a field where only men dominate in that field. No, I'm also not going to say that, because I am not that outwardly spoken, even though I mentioned it here and people might still think this is my personality type. It is not my personality type, because God has created me this way. If you are going to peg me in a particular hole, I'm not going to be pegged in that hole. For a while I might briefly fit that hole and roll, but I don't always fit a particular role that you are expecting a standard person to fit. And this is how many twin flames are actually. They are meant to break certain molds, they are meant to be different in certain ways. But the difference that you are meant to be, you can only realize about yourself when you start developing self-awareness about yourself and understanding where you are meant to be like the world and where you are meant to be different from the world, because you have a purpose. If you have a purpose, if you have a purpose that is related to bringing some change in the world, which is what my purpose is. So if my purpose is going to be about bringing some change, I cannot fit the norm, then only those people can fit the norm who are not supposed to bring change, who are supposed to maintain the same status quo as before, or if not maintain the same status quo as before, they are meant to only alter it slightly. But if you are meant to bring a lot of changes, you can't maintain the status quo. So what status quo was I trying to break? In MBA, I was just trying to not break any status quo, but in MBA, I was trying to just understand what is the personality type of people who are leaders. What is the personality type of people who are winners, go-getters, who work in the corporate world, who work in making a business profitable at a mass scale and grand scale. And I wanted to know that personality type because I had worked in retail. So as a retail person, I had gained the perspective of a retail employee. I had gained the perspective of the retail normal average retail employee, as well as the normal average retail customer, because I was buying things from retail as a retail customer even in US. And also the perspective of the customers who used to come to me for buying the products that I'm selling them. I was working in a pharmacy, so I had the healthcare selling perspective of retail business. But because I was working inside a retail store which also sold other consumer goods, I had a very good idea about consumer goods related retail customer habits as well. And I'm myself that customer. So I will have the customer perspective, both being a customer as well as being a person who sells things to those customers, right? So I already was a normal general employee, but what about the leadership of that same company? What do they think when they are going through making business decisions? So I wanted to learn that perspective. That's why I entered the MBA program. And then whether I will like that perspective, whether I will align with that perspective, whether I will completely hate the perspective, whether, because I did hate many elements of the decision making which was done in my company. And in recent years, I saw that my company is now completely like whatever hundreds of stores they had earlier in US, many of those stores have been shut down. The company name has been changed. Very few stores are now available in US of that company. Why? Because they did have poor leadership, or leadership which was misaligned with customers' current needs, and as a result they have gone out of business. Because when you go completely out of tune with your customers' needs, or in my company's case, they not only went completely out of tune with customers' needs, they had also they were doing something related to earth harm that also caused their company to go down in business. They were also not able to shift their strategy in the appropriate way needed for the next stages of Earth's existence. That's why also that company went down. But my company is not the only company that is going down. Actually, other competitors of the same company is also going down in business, and they have still not yet learned why they are going down in business, simply because they were a more profitable company, or financially maybe they had managed something much more cleverly than my company did. But that doesn't mean that this whole series of retail pharmacy businesses, where the fast moving goods and pharmacy goods are combined sold by any retailer, all those industries are actually currently in distress. And I don't know why I started this video about Twinflame and have gone into retail related work, because actually speaking, both of this are part of my life purpose. So like this, let's get back on track about the twin flame separation thing now. So this is what I am as a person. I can go on and on about my professional life. I've dedicated a lot of my major chunk of my life to thinking this way, analyzing things this way, living life this way, because for that 13 years that I lived in US, I had a very isolated life than normal women again over there as well, where there was brief space of time in my life where I was dating people, trying to engage in a relationship with them, but none of those relationships would work out for me, because there were a lot of incompatibilities in the basic way in which they wanted life with a woman. And for most of those men that I had dated in the past, they were very patriarchally oriented. They were very normal men, like where they want to be the breadwinners for the family, but they do not want a woman to be dependent on them financially. So they do want someone who will earn, but whoever earns, their earning being their life purpose is not something these men understood. So that's why, or my earning, not simply my earning being my life purpose, I have also very individualistic mindset, independence oriented mindset, different than the norm mindset than normal women, because of which they couldn't figure me out. And because they couldn't figure me out, they couldn't manipulate me, or they manipulated me for a few years. The few years or few months that they manipulated me, they thought that, oh, I have her in the right place, and then I can do whatever I wish with her. It wouldn't matter, I can keep manipulating her. But I'm not that kind of a woman. You can't manipulate me constantly. So because they couldn't, the first boyfriend and my ex-husband, they both were very similar like that. They tried to manipulate me a lot, in very subtle to overt ways, which didn't work for me. So eventually the relationships crashed. And with the one boyfriend, he was a manipulator of a different sort, and but the thing was, he felt manipulated by me even when I was not manipulating him. So when he started feeling that I am manipulating him, and he felt oppressed by my way of outlook in life. And I am a very twin flames can be this way. If you have the energy of the divine in you, sometimes you'll be very intense, especially if you're meant to bring change. Who is going to be the intense one? When say a storm occurs in a particular area, why does an intense storm occur in X area versus Y area, even though the same weather conditions were present for the storm to occur in X and Y area? There are some elemental factors involved for that storm to gather in a particular area, and there are some elemental factors that might dispel off the same potential of a storm to happen in a Y area that wasn't present in the X area. So twin flames are like that. Women, or when you are in your divine feminine energy, or when even you are in some of your distorted feminine energy, most of our feminine energy, any of us, it doesn't matter whether you are a twin flame, but if you have a particular kind of feminine, the purpose of feminine energy is to be the negative component in a relationship and within our life. The negative component that feminine energy brings to us is about seeing sometimes the negativity of a particular life situation with someone, seeing sometimes the incompatibilities and conflicts of what is going on in a relationship with someone. Now, just seeing that is not the only purpose of the negative energy. First, the negative energy has to observe. Then the negative energy might experience it in such a way that they will verbally also speak out the negativity. And at that time, if you have a balanced masculine and balancing masculine person in your life, or if your own energy has able to balance you out, then whatever negativity you saw in a particular situation, your own energy will balance it out. That is the purpose of the masculine energy in you. But if too many things are going wrong in your life, or too many things are wrong in your life in relation to your soul purpose, the soul purpose that is not yet unfolded, that is slowly unfolding in your life, and many things are misaligned with that soul purpose, you can't your negative energy will not allow you to coexist with a masculine who is not aligned and balanced with you, or who doesn't have the capacity to align and balance you. That is the purpose of your negative energy. So that is what was happening. Like, I also had some negative energy. The people whom I was dating or I got married to, they also had their own negative energy. And because our negative energies were not able to even balance with the positive inside of us as well as the positive in our partner, both balances are required. Inside balance, internal balance is also required, and a relationship balance is also required to make a marriage work, to make a relationship work. So when both of those get absent, or that balancing is completely off, that is when your relationships will self-destruct by themselves. Either they will do something or you will do something that will cause the relationship to go into a red flag zone for you and them, or both, and which is what transpired in all my past relationships. And in these red flag zones in these manifestations of the imbalance that was getting created with the negativity and positivity within us and within the relationship not balancing with each other, is the reason why you are not going to have a really great time, fun time, and most of the time you will have a very painful betrayal, trauma related, cheating related, distorted perceptions related, patriarchal norms related, or because patriarchal norms are one thing many of us have come to resolve currently on this time point of Earth's existence. So patriarchal norm related problems also will crop up with your spouses or partners. Then things related to balance will crop up, things related to your life purpose, soul purpose will crop up, things related to your own emotional needs also will crop up, because the other part is some of us have also come to heal the emotional bonds that human can create with each other. But if you are misaligned with a partner, that healing is not possible with them, or only very partial healing is possible with them. The deeper elements of healing that you need is not going to be possible with those misaligned or imbalance causing partners. So, and I've been very sensitive. I got very much imbalanced, very much disoriented, very much distraught, very much betrayed. All these different experiences started cropping up from different experiences, and this is just partnership related experiences that I'm talking about. But simultaneously, along with the partnership related experiences I was also getting these imbalances from family relationships, social relationships, friendships, many different places. There were pockets of imbalance happening. But while pockets of imbalance was happening, pockets of negativity, positivity was not balancing out, there were also places where it was balancing out for me. Where was it balancing out for me? For me, it was always balancing out very good, in a mostly good manner. Anytime some distortion or disturbance happened in my professional life, it kept realigning back into something better and better for me. It was not at that moment when things were breaking down, even say in the professional front in some way, even when it was breaking down in some way, or I was experiencing some failure in the professional front in some way, or even if it was not a failure, it was not a complete success in the professional front. Whatever I was experiencing, I was having, in some places I had failures, in some places I had okay experiences, in some places I had excellent experiences. But in terms of the professional life, everything was realigning very well according to my personality. But despite this happening for 13 years, where many things in the professional life in US or whatever I studied in US kept balancing and realigning really well with me, and I was balancing and realigning very well with whatever I was studying or working on, personal life wise, everything was crappy for me. Many things were crappy. I was having I got burnt out completely from the misaligned, imbalanced, uncaring, unsupported personal life, which is why I got very exhausted, which is why if I had a reasonably good personal life, even this marriage which was crappy might have continued for a few years. Because then what happens is, if you have enough resilience and other support system around you, You can sometimes go a long time in a crappy marriage, because I've seen some friends and family who have great family life in the past. If not great, they had above average good privileged kind of, and not extra ultra rich privilege I'm talking about, but anything that makes your life very survivable and thrivable. Those people had some good survivable thrivable family connections in their life, friendship and social connections in their life, that was enough to keep them in a resilient spirit, because of which when their marital life was also crashing, they continued with that crashing marital life. It didn't matter to them, because there were other things that kept them busy and engaged and moderately happy in their life. But for me, that was not there. So that's why that was also a divine plan, that if I don't have comfort inside my home or inside other social relationships, if I don't even have that same level of comfort and balance with my or any level of comfort and balance in my significant other relationships also, then I am completely off balance. Then any small, I became like a tuning fork of imbalanced relationship. And as a tuning fork, what started happening, even if small minor degree things that, if you have like say 10 people who are really good friends, and you have 5 good friends, 5 good family, 5 good colleagues, your 15 people in your life who are able to bring up your low spirits when you are depressed, or who are able to cheer you up when you had a fight with your spouse. If you have that kind of a life, you have all these different kinds of people who are cushioning you, supporting you, even if and you're like this, let's say this is you, and these are all the friends and social group and colleagues who are there in your life, and from this side is your spouse's interaction happening or partner's interaction happening. So because if you have no one in your life, if your husband or someone comes and pushes you or destabilizes you, what will happen? There's no one to fall back on, no one to cushion your emotions, no one to balance you out, no one. You yourself maybe might have done a lot of meditation and everything to balance yourself. Even then, what is going to happen is, when someone pushes you from here in a relationship, if that relationship is really toxic, you will really get pushed a lot, and you will get pushed to such a level that you are going to be forced to break it. On the other hand, if there are people who are supporting you, even if a very toxic relationship is pushing you, but you have strong people holding you on this side, how much ever they push you, you won't break. You will have this strong people supporting you. So when these strong people are supporting you, sometimes a person can drag a long time the toxic relationship. So do you understand? 2 same people, 2 same women facing the same toxic dynamics from a spouse for the same number of years. One person will completely, self-destruct that relationship after 1-2 years of being pushed like that by their partner, and cruelly. And sometimes the pushing is really literal verbal cruelty, physical cruelty, financial imbalance, verbal imbalance, emotional imbalance. All these things are the things that destabilizes a relationship. And if you don't have anyone to stabilize you, if you have the resilience to stabilize yourself, even then, if something is really really toxic, it will just not stand anymore in your life. And that is what a tower moment of a twin flame is also. And this tower moment can happen in your personal life, it can happen in your professional life, it can happen in all elements of your life. So, and I went through all of these different kinds of tower moments. I was going through them one by one for many years of my adult life, and most of the time doing it by myself, because I didn't have these cushioned comfort of people who will help stabilize me. There were 1 or 2 people who were stabilizing me occasionally, but most of the time the stabilization I had to do was within myself. I had to do it by myself using meditation, healing, letting go, unattachment. These kind of strategies I had to implement in my life. But while I kept implementing different strategies to balance out a relationship when an imbalance was occurring with someone in a personal life, at a time, if the personal life partner is not also putting that same energy to balance that relationship, it creates a imbalance and misalignment, or a unequally yoked partnership with them. And when this unequally yoked partnership continues, again, if you had some other people to attach to you and support you and had a good support system, you will not break apart. But if you do not have anyone, so there is always a blessing in disguise when you don't have anyone also. This is what this video is about also, that when you don't have anyone at that time, the push from a really toxic relationship should break you down and break apart that relationship. You should not withstand or withhold the pressure of a really bad relationship. You should let go. That relationship should break apart, that relationship should fall apart, that relationship can cause you to crash your life in a bad way. But even if it crashed your life in a bad way, because it was a toxic relationship, that crash was necessary for you to wake up that I am in a toxic relationship. If that relationship was an abusive relationship, that breakdown and crash is necessary for you to awaken to the fact that this is a very bad thing for me, I need to get out of this. It's a warning system, it's a signaling system of where you want your life is asking you to not betray yourself. Your life and your life circumstances is asking you to stay true to yourself and to realign with your soul path. Because when they have broken something with you, be it a relationship, be it personally, they physically abused you, or they were financially abusing you, or they were misusing or misunderstanding everything you are doing and saying, whatever is the reason that something is crashing in a partnership, that crash has to happen, that breaking and ending has to happen in order for you to eventually realign, rebalance, but realign and rebalance in relation to your soul purpose and your soul journey. And that clarity happens, the best clarity happens when, for me, I have realized the best clarity has happened when there's no one to cushion me, when there is no place except my own energy to cushion me, realign me, balance me. And then the most clarity is found. And at that time, when you are even at that time also, sometimes I have lost my clarity. But when you're meant to realign with God's purpose for your life, and at that time you have to look into God energy, into the universal energy, to figure out what is it that you have to change in your life, realign in your life, realign within yourself, realign in your partnership with someone. If you are, say, in a twin flame journey, because a twin flame also can actually cause a breakdown in your life, cause a crash in your life. If a twin flame has caused the real misalignment and imbalance in your life, the realignment and balance can only come when the twin flame also awakens and both of you jointly take the effort to balance your relationship out. In one of my previous videos, I had talked about, and this is a video from a few years back, but where I have talked about the twin flame relationship is like a seesaw relationship. So if you are going down, your twin flame might be going up. If he is going down, you might be going up in life. But in reality, what is the most fun when you are in a seesaw is when you are sitting in the center place and you are just going slightly up and down, right? It is not enjoyable when this person is highly up and you are completely down, then you are losing. When you are up and they are down, then also your relationship is losing. Best relationships is when you do have the highs and lows, you do know how to navigate the highs and lows of your life, but you're also in a balanced where in the seesaw is kind of up in the air, right? The fun is to float in the air together with each other. So float in a high together with each other, which is the high and bliss of a twin flame relationship that you can enjoy with your twin flame. But that high and bliss you can't enjoy with your twin flame if one twin flame is completely crashed down and the other is completely up in the air enjoying the laurels of life, or vice versa. It can only happen when both of you are aligning, balancing within self and each other. That's when a twin flame is in an optimal relationship place with their partner, right? So this push-pull, and the push-pull dynamics is like that. The push-pull is like this: when you are together with your twin flame, even if you aren't together personal life with them and are separated from them, at that time also this push pull will continue with your twin flame. Just the awareness of this push pull, where they are going high, you are going low, you are going high, they are going low, this or both of you want to go in opposite direction, but you can't go in opposite direction because that beam on which you are sitting, that kind of a beam and a string is attaching you to your twin flame. That's why how much ever you run from your twin flame, and twin flame relationship is also like a rubber band also. So how much ever you, and this is a rubber band that doesn't break. Usually in rubber bands also, very rarely a twin flame relationship will break down completely. Very rare cases that can happen, but rubber band, when it is in a strong phase, how much ever you stretch the rubber band, it will not break. So that's how a twin flame relationship is. How much ever you want to run from your partner, if one is running and the other is stationary, then also they will have to come back. If both are running, then also they will have to again eventually come back, like how a stretched rubber band comes back together in the center. So which is how the twin flame relationship is. How much ever you separate from your partner, you will again realign with them, rebalance with them, and the universe will take the efforts and energy, or give you the guidances, or your life experiences will shape your life journey in such a way that you will eventually again come back to the center with them, because that is the kind of relationship God has created in a twin flame relationship. And again, when you come back to the center, if you are a mother-son twin flame, what is the center of a mother-son relationship? The normal, average, stable mother-son relationship is what the core center of that relationship is meant to be. Whether it will come to that core of that relationship depends on what work each of them are doing, what inner work they are doing, what soul work they are doing, what life purpose work they realize they are meant to do with each other in life. Right, that is when you will come back to that core. But if you're misaligning and again imbalancing yourself, at the time, in twin flame relationship, it's like this infinity symbol. That infinity symbol is when a twin flame relationship is also getting twisted. When it's getting twisted, when it's getting into a naughty problem zone, then sometimes in the center of the infinity symbol a knot can form, and then one person might be stuck in this phase of life. In a certain phase of life, they can't access their twin flame. When that kind of a problem happens, where both of them haven't done their inner work, or they have a lot of inner work to do, at the time the separation starts. So that you have to gain some experiences on one end of the spectrum of a relationship, and your other side, twin flame, has to gain another end of the spectrum of that relationship dynamics, to learn your individual specific lessons related to the twin flame journey. So that after you have learned these two different, like this is the infinity symbol, right? If you have learned this left hand side of experience and they have learned the right hand side of experience, then this naughty problem in the that was blocking you from meeting each other or seeing each other, this knot will be released, and then you are free to again come to the center and meet each other, come to the center and realign with each other and get out of separation. So for during the separation time, there is a lot of inner work, that's why that needs to be done. Lot of soul searching that might have to be done, self reflection that might need to be done, reflection on healing some past wounds from other relationships might need to be done, things related to how to heal your relationship with your partner you may also have to do. Because another thing that happens is, like I keep mentioning my past relationships, because not because I'm stuck in those relationships, but from them, what lessons did I learn from those relationships. So when I learned a particular lesson from that relationship, maybe in one relationship I learned that these kind of patriarchal things are not something I can tolerate in my relationship in the future. So if I have already said no to certain elements of patriarchy, and let's say as a part of your divine purpose, I found say 5 problems related to patriarchy in my past relationships. Out of that 5, let's say my divine purpose is to shatter 3 of those patriarchal norms. So I came to the conclusion that out of these 5, these 3 need to be shattered. Let's say my twin flame is also going through some patriarchal related problems. he also has to come to the, if our soul purpose is to shatter these three norms, we both have to come to that same conclusion that these three norms need to be shattered. And in order to, for us to come to the same conclusion of these three norms being shattered, I will go through a particular kind of experience that brings me to this conclusion. He will also be going through those similar things that will bring him to certain conclusion, which will then realign us back with each other. So during the separation phase, or even before you even met your twin flame, some of these things you will experience in your life to form the soul purpose related life plan of yours. A soul purpose related life plan which is forming in your life separately during the time you didn't know your twin flame, during the time even after knowing your twin flame you were separated from them, during the time even when you are married to your twin flame and are coexisting with them in the same life with each other as their spouse. But despite that, again you will have slightly same purpose related experience but different perspective related experience of the same thing. Like, say I have to shatter something related to patriarchy. One thing that many people, it doesn't seem too radical in countries, Western countries, but age is a barrier in some twin flame relationships where maybe the girl is 4 or 5 years older than the boy. Now in a conservative culture it will be a thing that needs to be shattered. In a westernized society that may not be a thing that needs to be shattered because it's already a norm, say in certain cultures. But in the cultures where it has to be shattered, and say one is a twin flame who is from a western culture and one is a twin flame who is from the conservative culture, and the norm that has to be shattered is the age difference. For the person who is coming from a western culture, it's not a problem because he has maybe seen, say it's a guy and he has seen that it's okay if the woman is 5 years older. It doesn't matter in his culture. Many people date people who are older than them. So for him it's nothing great. So he is having these kind of experiences where he has already normalized and knows that it's a normal thing if in some relationships women can be older. But the girl is coming from a conservative background where she doesn't know, and in her culture maybe she's from China, and that Chinese girl, in her culture it is very shameful or considered as shameful if a 35-year-old woman is dating a 29-year-old guy. So for her it is a very abnormal thing, unusual thing. So she has to break those belief systems in her when she is going to meet her twin flame, and he will allow her to break those belief systems because of the culture he is coming from. But in order for him to allow her to break her belief systems, he has to also experience life maybe with some other maybe Asian girlfriend in the past who was also maybe older to him. Maybe like, you know, he was, when he was 25, he dated a 28-year-old Asian woman from a different Asian country, not China, but he dated another person from a Asian country who was conservative. Now when he dated her, at that time he could see, like, you know, the shame that she's going through. He could see his girlfriend having problems with age difference. He could see it, analyze it, experience it with her. But even though he was seeing it, analyzing it, experiencing with her, because he was only a 25-year-old guy, he was at that time a little immature, so he didn't understand her pain, he didn't understand her shame, he didn't understand the depth of problems that this age difference was creating for her. And maybe her family life was the real utmost cruel and conservative kind of a culture where everything the woman does is actually scrutinized. Nothing that they will break is going to be scrutinized, but every single normal choice is also scrutinized. So for her it was 10 times painful possibly, but which he didn't understand because he doesn't come from that kind of a family where everything is scrutinized by your culture, everything is scrutinized by your family. So because of which he didn't understand and experience her pain at a deeper level, or he understood it kind of superficially, but he couldn't understand like what is the big deal. I have other friends who have 5-year-old girlfriend, 3-year-old girlfriend, 1-year-old older girlfriend. It doesn't matter. So for him it was not mattering, but for her it was painfully mattering. And eventually there will be a betrayal trauma in that relationship, which caused that girl to eventually break up the relationship, or caused this guy to break up the relationship, or they both decided they are constantly fighting over. For the guy it might seem like nothing, but for the girl it might seem like a big thing, and they fought and they separated. Now this happened to this guy's life when he was 25 years old. Now 5-6 years later, he has also dated now other people. He decided maybe in the 5-6 years to date women who are younger than him. He didn't want to go through this hassle of dating an older person. He decided, even though it's the norm and it caused some trauma in him also, and he decided, I'm not going to date anyone older. I will date someone my age now, closer to my age or younger than me. So maybe for 5-6 years he dated like that. For 2 years he dated another girl who was the same age as him. For some reason that didn't work out. Another 2 years he dated another girl, and maybe he also decided dating Asians is a big problem. I'm not going to date Asians anymore. I'm only going to date, he was a European, he decided I'm only going to date Europeans. So he was dating a European near his age, then he dated a European younger to him, then he dated like that. He kept experiencing like that, trying to date or wanting to date or thinking of dating. All these when he's going on a dating site, or when he's asking when his friends are searching for him, he's doing this normalized thing that anything that was different would be different than what painful experience he had with his ex-girlfriend who was Asian and older to him. He wanted to go and experience the opposite of it, which he did that for 5-6 years. And some dates worked out, some dates didn't work out, some relationships worked for a year or two, some relationship he didn't even have a couple of years of relationship at all. So like that, many years have now passed. And in those years also, now he has gained some life experiences and perspectives about age difference, cultural difference. Even when you are from the same culture, what difference can crop up in relationships, what difference in mentality, soul purpose, life priority related things can crop up in a relationship, right? So he is experiencing all that apart from the age problem, apart from the cultural problems, right? So let's say now he's 32 years old, and he meets a woman who is 37 years old, and this 37-year-old woman is meant to be his twin flame when he is 32. He doesn't know he's in a twin flame journey. The 37-year-old woman also doesn't know she's on a twin flame journey. She also has been dating many people, and because she's coming from conservative culture, she might not have dated as many men as he has, as many women as he has done. That could be one thing she could have had. She could have maybe had only 2 boyfriends while he had 5-10 girlfriends. She could maybe have had a marriage also that didn't last, like where she was in a marriage for 5 years and then it broke off. She dated someone for a few years, it broke off. She also might have experienced that experience of finding interest from men who were maybe 6 months younger than her, a couple of years younger than her, and she rejected them because of the conservative nature and how people view these age gaps, and so she didn't consider them seriously. All these things could have been materializing for her. But then if they are meant to be twin flames, and if they are meant to be in each other's lives, somehow universe will gather something where maybe for work purposes one travels to another's country, or they both go on vacation somewhere where they end up meeting each other in a random meet cute like setting. Whatever happens, something will happen where they meet each other, they recognize each other, they get triggered by each other, they get awakened by each other. They may start dating each other also. If they get awakened or triggered and then they go their separate ways, then what will happen is they'll just remember meeting this girl from this say they met at a business conference related to their work at a conference in Europe, and the girl went back to her country, he went back to his country, but they remember each other very well. That can happen. Sometimes they might meet each other and the universe pushes them to work together as colleagues now in a new country. That could happen. For 2-3 years they become each other's colleagues. Sometimes they may not become each other's colleagues, but they start dating each other because they find that instant chemistry happening, and they date each other. But again, during the dating phase, the same traumas and triggers that they had faced with past relationships might end up happening. Or one of them realizes, like, this is exactly the kind of woman I was looking for, but he gets scared, like, how is it possible? And especially this happens to the masculine energy in the relationship. So which can be, if the masculine energy at that time is in the man will suddenly freak out that this is logically and emotionally actually matching every one of his emotional and logical needs. But he will get freaked out because, people, if you have had a rough life, you will also have this suspicion of too good to be true kind of a thing will happen to you. And when you start having this suspicion that this is too good to be true, you want to run away from it because you don't believe that you deserve this too good to be true relationship. Like, how can every element be fantastic with this person? But the twin flame journey is meant to be that way. Every element will be fantastic when things are fantastic, or when you are completely aligned with each other at that time. In that brief interaction also, you will realize how fabulous things can be. So if you interacted with each other for a couple of months, it will be very fantastic interaction. If you interacted with each other for a week, it will be fantastic interaction. If you dated each other for a few years, it will be fantastic dating that person. But the fears, the unhealed traumas, the past traumas that you never acknowledged you had from a bad relationship in the past, it could also be not some simple traumas related to your significant other relationship, but other social relationships you have held in your past, familial relationships you have held in your past, where you had faced some betrayal, some loyalty issues, some compatibility issues. Those similar incidences will also crop up with your twin flame, and that is which leads to the separation. For someone, it will lead to a separation because it is mirroring exactly the same kind of trauma they faced with their partner. Like, the woman might have faced, like, even though she tried to date someone younger, she saw people looking at them and contemplating, looking down on them because she looked older. So her looks might make her feel insecure, that when even though the relationship is emotionally making her feel very good about herself, externally she looks, say, what a 37-year-old looks like, and he looks really young. And men anyways, even if they are in their early 30s, sometimes can look like they are in their mid 20s. So even though she might be only 5 years older to him, at that point of time when they met, it is possible that they are looking like a 8-10-year-old age difference. And there could be someone who meets them and says, are you mother and son? And that will trigger her, because she doesn't want to be the mother to him, right? She wants to be his wife. She wants to be his life partner. That is the purpose of future life purpose that is meant to develop for them eventually in their life, when they both come to that realization. But until they come to that realization, if people are looking at them and saying, are you his sister or are you his mother, she will get insulted about it. She'll feel unhappy about it. She'll get triggered about it. And this time, this triggering that is happening in her is also something, being a twin flame, the twin flame will start to recognize sooner. Firstly, because he already had a similar experience with a past girlfriend. Secondly, because he's a twin flame. So if he is a twin flame, he will start getting attuned to her emotional energy a lot faster than he would have done with any other woman. So he would immediately find that trigger about hers. And now, if he is not healed, that trigger will cause certain relationship problems with him. But say he is healed, he is mature, he will then try to assure her, be nice to her. So 2-3 different scenarios can play in a same scenario between two twin flames of this similar kind of a situation, where if the boyfriend understands but the girl is not ready to have a understanding husband in her life or understanding boyfriend in her life, and until then men have always mistreated her, she will disbelieve this good experience with this guy. She will think this is too good to be true, and she might be the runner. Or if he understands her, she also accepts his understanding, and they are both by then healed from their past traumas in a good way, then the relationship will go forward together in a aligned manner for a few years. Or if he understands her pain but he gets confused, why am I understanding her pain? This doesn't make sense. In the past I never understood any other woman. Why am I understanding her pain? And am I really understanding her pain, or am I like projecting something? So these kind of questioning also can start coming from to someone who doesn't have the same metric of experience with any other human being on earth, where they understand another human being at such a deeper level. So that internal questioning can cause him to like, whoa, what is this? I don't know what this is. I need to look into it, or I need a pause on this because this is too much overwhelming. Like, you know what, this happened to me, but I wasn't overwhelmed. I found it a very interesting experience that I am experiencing my twin flames pain. Like when I became self-aware that I knew this is not my pain, not my emotional pain, not my energy, and I'm feeling someone else's energy, and then I got the guidance that it is my twin flames energy that I'm feeling inside me, and his sadness that I'm feeling inside. And at that time I was doing healing things. So because I was doing healing things, self-healing related things, I used the same self-healing techniques to heal his pain. That is what I was doing at that time, to heal it in the same way. Like every time I felt his pain, I wanted to heal it, because I had that personality type. I wanted to heal people. So at that time I was healing myself, I was healing him. So it was happening simultaneously to each other. And this is what the twin flame journey is also about. The more you heal yourself, the more you also cause your twin flame to go into healing as well. And the more you balance yourself, same way your twin flame also will start balancing themselves sometimes. And this the positive negative aspect I told you, like how you align the positivity and negativity inside of you and balance yourself, same way the more positive negative energy within you is balanced, it will get balanced with your twin flame. And sometimes the thing that you had missing in your past relationships with other people, where you wanted your partner to balance you when you are feeling low, or you wanted a partner to balance you when you have, like for me this was one part where I was having a very stressful work life, and at those times I really needed a partner who will emotionally balance me or energetically balance me, or just simply do very simple things like cook something for me when I have no time to cook for myself. I needed that kind of a partner. Very few men are going to be this way with their women, but I do need that kind of a partner who will know when to balance me and realign me when I am unable to take care of myself for whatever reason. That is mandatory for me. And one of the exes realized this about me, and he categorized this as being I am wanting him to be my slave or something. He felt like that, when I never, what I'm verbalizing right now in this video, I never verbalized this in front of him. I never said that I expect you to cook for me, or I expect you to do XYZ for me. But somehow intuitively, energetically, he had picked up, he was a little bit energetically attuned person. So energetically or intuitively he picked up that I wanted him to do something that he can't do, even though I verbally, at that time I didn't even know that this was a conscious thing I want from a relationship with someone. So many years later, 10-12 years later, I'm realizing this about myself. So 10 years later I realized that about myself, which at that time I never verbally expressed, but energetically it was there in my energetic field. And because it was there in my energetic field, something he picked up about it made him think that I want a guy who is going to be my slave. But it's not like that. I don't want anyone to be my slave, but I do want someone to be attuned to my energy enough to wish to do something that will help me when I am in trouble, right? And in the older like medieval world, when it was a medieval world, women wanted men to fight duels for them or fight their hand in marriage. That was the perception, right? And men wanted to do that for women also. So they would easily like fight a couple of goons to save a woman and the damsel in distress, and or if someone is a queen, people fought, right? They had duels to see who will win the duel to marry the princess. Things like that used to happen in medieval times. The same thing that used to happen like that in the medieval times, where men are easily ready to fight another person to claim the woman they want to marry. That same thing is present in the modern life also, but in the modern life, woman doesn't want a man to fight someone else physically. What they want the man to fight is when she is tired, the man can pick up the pace for her and fight that battle. That when she's too tired to cook, the man picks up the pace and cooks something for her. Or when she is whatever is the balancing thing needed by a modern woman and a particular personality. I am personality X, I would appreciate possibly this, but a personality Y may not appreciate that. And again, in this also, there was a time when this boyfriend actually cooked also for me, but he cooked all highly fatty product, and I have a problem with eating too much high content fatty food. So when I ate too much high content fatty food, it was causing me I first of all didn't like what he cooked, because I was like, I have always ordered food that is unlike this. He cooked some pasta, and that pasta, whenever we have gone out to eat, in the and the pasta dishes I would order would be very different from what he was cooking. So then I was like, does he not know me? Like, I have been friends with him for a while. I have eaten so many food where most of the time I didn't think that I was choosing the kind of food that he shouldn't have observed, that I eat very different food than what he's cooking for me. So I got very upset. And again, I told you this resilience thing. If you have other people to soften your blow, if I had other people who would cook for me something that I love to eat, or if I could myself have the time to cook for myself what I am loving to eat, I would never get that irritated with him. But I got irritated with him, and that's why he got this perception that she's like she's always has a high and mighty expectations or something. That is what his perception came from, these kind of interactions. But the same thing that for him was something undoable for him, or for him he's like, I'm cooking for you, that is all you should be satisfied about. It doesn't matter what I'm cooking for you. If I like to eat this, I'm going to cook what I like to eat, and you have to eat that also. That was his attitude about it. Whereas my attitude is, or many women, when they cook for their spouses, how will you cook? You will cook according to their taste, what they love to eat, or something that will be a midway between what both of you like to eat. That is how you balance out a relationship with someone. When you're cooking, you can't always cook only for what your partner loves to eat. You will either have to cook, you will do that initially in the initial stages of a marriage, but after that, slowly with time, what you will cook is, you will balance yourself into cooking something that both of you enjoy eating, or the midway ground of what you enjoy eating, and occasionally cook what your partner loves to eat. This is how normal balanced marriages work. But most of the time, traditionally, only women has been the one who is doing the cooking for the spouse. But in the modern world, if a woman has a life purpose where she has to be professionally very involved, then what kind of a man will balance her? Will a man who's ready to cook for her be necessary? Partly for some of those women. For some of those women, otherwise, if a man doesn't cook for her, they have to both be rich enough to hire someone to cook for them, or be rich and also free enough, have some free time in their life to go and explore eating outside, right? These are the kind of compromises you can make. But nonetheless, despite all this, cooking is a basic skill. There's a video I will link with this maybe, where there is a family who's talking about this. Like, many people think that it's feminism, and this woman, American woman or Caucasian woman, is saying that I'm not a feminist because I know how to cook. Cooking is something everyone should know, is what was the conclusion in that video. And none of them may or may not be a feminist, but a young teenage boy also knows how to cook in that family. The mom also knows, the dad also knows, the girl also knows, and the girl is the one who's openly acknowledging that I am a feminist. Because being a feminist, and the Caucasian girl said, I'm not a feminist because I know how to cook. Sorry. So knowing how to cook is irrespective of whether you're a feminist or non-feminist, whether you're a man or a woman. Everyone should know how to cook. Why? Because even in a relationship where the wife is the housewife and she does 90% of the cooking, once a month when she has periods, isn't it good for her during her periods if her family cooks for her? Once a year, if she suddenly falls sick with stomach upset or needs an operation, at that time someone else cooks for her. If she gives birth to a child, at that time she's living in a nuclear family, in those few months after childbirth, when she is having some painful life experiences or she needs a healing, in those few months when she's just catering to the baby, newborn baby, in those few months, if she has a caring spouse also who who cooks for her occasionally, or at least remembers that even if I can't cook for her, let me at least find and procure good food from another place for her. Would a woman appreciate that man, or would a woman appreciate that man who doesn't cook for her, or who cooks for her only based on what he likes to eat, and he's not looking at what the new mother will need, what the new baby will need? And for that guy who thought that I am being too high and mighty because he was not even aware about what kind of food pasta I eat, like that awareness he didn't have. He only cooked pasta according to how he likes to eat pasta, and he's not seeing what kind of tastes I have or what kind of nutritional needs I need met. At the time I was also dieting and wanting to maintain a particular weight, so none of those criteria he looked at. Fine, at that time he didn't look at it, but if he continues to attribute that my need for asking for a particular way of cooking is only about my ego, then he fails to see that a woman's need could be a nutritional need, a woman's need could be a tiredness based need, that if I'm constantly or overworked professional, or even if not overworked, normal 40 hours of working life professional, the rest of the time, like how a man needs to rest and relax, and he gets meals cooked for him by his mother or wife without them even asking him. Like a wife and a mother just observes, like if the man enjoys eating what I have cooked for him, that means he likes it. So now if he's been genuine, then from his verbal cues and appreciation cues, or a number of servings he ate something, she can realize that this is what he loves to eat. And if he's not faking it, let's assume he's not faking and he's genuinely appreciating her cooking. So if he's not being fake, if he genuinely appreciates what she has cooked for him, she will make that for him continuously during the marriage. So like that, women also want men to observe them, right? That what are your interests in terms of what food you're consuming. That if you don't understand after a few years, and no one is expecting the man to understand this about them when you are in the first month of dating or first year of knowing each other. But if you've known each other for 2-3 years, and even in 2-3 years you've not picked this cue about your partner, how are you going to pick up like this small cues of needs of your partner in 20, 30, 40 years of marriage? And at that time, it's not simply about your partner. If you are dating someone, most of us are dating someone so for a lifelong partnership, and if in that lifelong partnership, and many of us are also dating because we want to raise children with them. So can you, if your life purpose is one of the parts of your life purpose is you want to raise a kid with a person, if that man doesn't pick up your cues, you think he is going to pick up the cues of the child also? If he doesn't pick up, if he's incapable, if he's misunderstanding the need, the core soul need, that you pick up certain cues about myself automatically or intuitively, and then meet that need without me constantly asking. Because this is a problem of many modern marriages. Women have to constantly ask their spouse, do this for me, do this for me. Very few spouses pick up automatically what their spouse needs, even after 10 years of marriage, which frustrates many women, because women are already tired. Many modern women, they are working outside the home, working in the home. Even if they are not working outside the home, they are stay-at-home housewives. Many of them, I'm not saying all of them are like that. There are opposite things also happening. There are some spoiled women also in the world who are completely spoiled by their in-laws and spouse and everything, and they are the one who are failing to pick up the cues of when the husband is tired, what the husband needs. So in those places where the woman is clueless, the woman needs to pick up the cues on what is needed to balance the relationship with the spouse. And when the man is clueless, at the time the woman needs, and the woman is overgiving, at the time the man needs to put the effort. So these kind of things, these are all normal to all normal relationships. But in the twin flame relationship, one extra element that is added is that even if you ignore your spouse's concerns, eventually the universe will make you feel your spouse's pain, spouse's tiredness, spouse's energetic needs, spouse's emotional needs, whatever is a need that you failed to balance, even though you had the capacity. And you have to understand, universe will not ask you to do something that you don't have the capacity to do. This guy had the capacity to cook, he had the skills to cook, he had the materials to cook, everything he had. And despite that, if he chooses to do the thing that is very misaligned with your partner, it will lead to fights with your partner, conflicts with your partner. If not major fights, it will lead to all these friction in relationship and misunderstandings with your partner, because you do not have that skill to, even if you had all the material sources to implement something, you didn't have the skills to implement that. That's why the inappropriate partner. Whereas the person who is your twin flame, even if you undergo, even if with my twin flame now, the same scenario plays with that twin flame. It hasn't yet played, but let's imagine in the same scenario where I'm tired from work and the same thing plays again. If the partner is aligned, I am aligned. If with an aligned partner, it doesn't have to be a twin flame, but with an aligned partner, the same scenario will play, where all the materials given, all the circumstances given, all the number of years you've known each other, that partner, if they are aligned and balancing partner for you and the right partner for you, they will pick up these right cues and cook the food that you need. Nutritionally, they will pick up what you need. Emotionally, they will pick up what you need. Energetically, they will pick up what you need. And not only pick up, because this guy would pick up intuitively some of the things that I needed. Problem is, he's unwilling to provide that. And that is where the difference between one who is meant to be a provider spouse for you versus one who's not meant to be the provider caring spouse for you. So that provider energy, the carer energy, the supportive partner energy, the supportive long-term soul purpose related partnership energy, these are the things twin flames are looking for in their relationships with their partner, which if might be intuitively happening with a twin flame. If not intuitively happening with a twin flame or a good level partnership, that partner will have the interest in energy and devotion and genuine love for you, to want to ensure that when you have a need, they are ready to meet that need as a provider and caretaker and your lover. Likewise, women also, like I'm saying, this happens in genuine relationships, in genuinely balanced and maturing and evolving relationships. This organically starts developing slowly over time in your partnerships. Whereas any relationship which is not organically developing this way, but has a lot of places where it has already organically developed into a beautiful mutually merging relationship, there are some of those relationships with the right inner work, right therapy, right understanding, right balancing act with each other, you will be able to patch up when fractures are happening, conflicts are happening. But on the other hand, those relationships where the merging is very superficial, or the tie is only about some temporary creature comforts or temporary convenience based on the phase of life you are in those places the relationship will be so tenuous that it won't have a good structural and mixed life path related foundation at all. So slowly when the foundation of your life with that partner is not fixed, is not fixable, is not repairable, is not merging, is instead misaligning or imbalancing, then you will end up pushing each other out of your life, wanting to push each other out of your life. You will either do it through covert ways or overt ways. The overt ways are someone will verbally tell you when they are unhappy. The covert ways are someone will indirectly tell you when they are unhappy. I was the verbally very directly speaking one in my relationships, and these men were the overt ones who would indirectly show in some way their displeasure, or even if verbally they are saying it, they will say it in a very coached manner, like a veiled insult or veiled disrespect. With time they will do it, energy they will do it, with finances they will do it. And that is how abuse propagates also. Like this same thing where occasionally as a mistake a person can do, sometimes when abuse starts happening, it is a deliberate choice that someone is making. When it is inadvertent and they didn't realize that they were doing it to you and they really genuinely care about you, those partners will try to patch up those inadvertent mistakes or try to ensure that in a future similar repeating experience, you don't keep repeating the same pattern of hurting each other. whereas either hurting each other or misunderstanding each other or misaligning with each other or imbalancing each other. That is what will be the genuine effort both partners will be taking. Whereas in an incompatible, abusive or toxic relationship, the same scenario will either keep repeating again and again, with the partner not understanding where they are going wrong, partner not ready to change where they are misaligning the relationship, or the partner is not able to change or shift because their personality is such that they're not meant to be your lifelong partners at all. So that's why many a times twin flames would have faced in their past relationships some betrayal trauma, some triggers, some conflict zones, some elements of abuse, some elements of social patriarchal related belief systems that were oppressing them or hindering their soul path progress, as a result of which they had difficult relationships in the past. But in those difficult relationships of the past was the kernel of soul truth of the life path that should emerge from them eventually in the future, a kernel of truth that you will only conclude about your life path journey or life purpose journey slowly as you reflect about your past, slowly as you understand the higher purpose of what was going on in your past that led to certain things breaking down, certain things ending, certain things not working with your ex-partners or with your spouses or with your family or with your social systems or with your work life. And for some, all of these might have happened, for some of these might have happened, for some all of these will happen eventually in different stages of life. One might experience a work life imbalance in their 40s, another might experience a social and familial problem in their 30s, someone might experience a patriarchy related problem in their 60s. But different stages of life you will experience this, and while you are experiencing this, if you have the right balancing partner who may or may not be your twin flame, having the right partner helps you realign better. And having the right social system, support system, and every time you are in the wrong place or with a seemingly misaligned group or seemingly misaligned group of people, if alignment is not happening again, realignment and balance is not happening with them, those are the phases of life where you have to decide and make that critical decision making process. Should I stay stuck in these scenarios, or do I learn from it and move on towards a, because whatever doesn't work, the negativity in you and the negative energy and the feminine energy in all of us is meant to show us, is this something that is workable, is it something that is not workable, and if it is not workable, why is it not workable, what is it instead of this that I want in my life that will make my life more workable for me. All these analysis or all these intuitive realizations are something you have to go through as a part of the twin flame journey, or even as a part of a journey of a person who wants to have a cohesive and mutually supportive life with their life partner and a long-term life with them. So I hope this makes sense, and if you do have any questions or if you want to comment about your own life journey experiences, please drop a comment. Thank you.